Hey guys, Scott back again with a new, I'm going to call it a beer dissection video, but it really isn't beer today. It's actually tea, all right? One of these hard iced teas from the original Twisted Tea, okay? I got a big boy can here because I don't usually drink this that much, so I don't usually get 12 or 24 packs of this. But the original hard iced tea, original, and I'll tell you why I'm doing this in just a second. Might as well mention it now. What's funny is I'm not going to say I never had hard iced tea, like hard seltzers and things like that. I'm usually a beer drinker. I enjoy wine also. But, you know, these teas have been around for a while. I'm sure I had one once. I don't recall in recent memory having one, at least in the last 2 to 5 years. Definitely since I started doing this beer channel. And I know there's a few other, I think there's a Paul Newman's version. There's a bunch of different versions out there. And now listen, I want to taste it. This is probably more of a video of like a first take. Like, what's my first impression of this? I'm not a hard iced tea expert. I like to think I'm a beer expert, but you know, some people would maybe beg to differ. But I wanted to actually maybe, you know, give my first impressions on something like this, even though many of you probably drink these regularly more than I do, like hard seltzers. But, you know, things like this, these hard iced teas, the seltzers have been, you know, tapping into the beer and wine and spirits, you know, market a little bit. And because people just, you know, they want their alcohol. They don't necessarily enjoy beer or whatever it may be. So I just thought it'd be fun to do this. Like, you know, I do a lot of craft beers. I do some commercial beers, macro lagers, things like that. And occasionally I like to throw a curveball and just get my first impression on this. I never had it. You know, I even asked my son, who was a little underage. He's, you know, 19. And I know at some of the parties he's gone to, they've had this. I was even asking him about it. And he didn't even like it. But I figured, let me just try it out. I'll film it. I'll put on video for those of you that like this. And I'll give my impression. But again, I'm not an expert on iced tea and or hard iced teas. This one's coming in at 5% alcohol, which I presume, you know, a lot of them are coming in at also. They say a good time every time. Keep it twisted tea. And I'm trying to remember, I said Paul Newman, but there's another one. I think it's maybe Arnold Palmer, because he's big with the iced tea also, just a regular iced tea without being hard. It could be Arnold Palmer. Maybe they spiked that one there with a little alcohol. I don't know how it's made. I don't know if they're just making tea and then throwing in some vodka. Who the hell knows? But I figured it'd be fun to record my first impression on this. And I shouldn't say first impression. You know, I'm not going to claim that I maybe never picked one of these up or was at a party and someone had it in their cooler. But I never recall, you know, tasting it anytime recently, and definitely not since I've started this channel. So anyway, nothing special here. It's got a typical tulip pint glass. I think with something like this, you know, you may actually drink from the can. We're not talking about hops. We're not talking about malt flavors and aroma. And I'm not going to do that today with you. But I think a typical shaker pint would be fine. A solo cup, whatever it is, or just drinking from the can. I just figured I would run through this just like I would do with most of my beers, okay? But probably in a faster format, because I'm not expecting to be getting hop aromas or malt profiles and things like that. So anyway, guys, let's crack this bad boy open and get right to it, okay? So again, very, very popular drink these days. You know, as a alternative to beer and or wine and or seltzer. So anyway, let's take a look at this. I don't expect, those of you who follow me, you know, I always talk about the head. I wouldn't expect much head on this. So we're looking at like typical, you know, Nestea kind of head on there. So I'm not going to even waste too much time with it. Very like copper color, medium dark copper color. Pretty sparkling clear, okay? So again, I'm not going to go belabor the point too much. So anyway, let's sniff it. Let's see what it smells like. If it smells like tea. Yeah, it smells like tea. It smells like, you know, again, we don't perceive sweetness on the nose, but you almost expect like you're smelling like Nestea, Nantucket nectars, Snapple iced tea that's poured into a glass. So it actually smells like if I was drinking one of those. Smell like a little bit of like a little lemon too. So I don't know. Does it say lemon on here? But it is a twisted tea, so I'm thinking they're trying to put a little lemon in there also. But that's what it smells like. Slight citrus, lemon. Okay, guys. So I'm not going to waste too much time on this. I mean, it looks like tea. It smells like a sweetened lemon type of tea. Let's see if it tastes like that. Okay, so cheers. Oh, it's funny. It's not overly sweet. It's got a nice, this is one thing I first noticed. I was expecting to get like that Snapple, Nestle, Nestea type of sweetness. No. I mean, there's some residual sugar and sweetness there, but it's not over the top. Zero carbonation, which I think these are meant to be zero carbonated. No aftertaste, but it actually, you know, I do taste more tea than anything. Slightly tart. You know, so I wouldn't be surprised if they infused it with a little lemon, brewed by the Twisted Tea Company, an affiliate of the Boston Beer Company. Remember, Boston Beer Company makes what? Sam Adams beer. I'm just trying to see. No carbonation contains alcohol. If anything, it says malt beverage with tea and natural flavors. I think that's a legal way of explaining it. Natural flavors, I'm sure they're infusing with a little bit of a lemon tincture and things like that. But I gotta say, it's like drinking, you know, a Nestea or one of the bottles off of your deli counter, knowing there's alcohol in it, then they infuse it with that. There's no alcoholic bite to it or warmth. It's actually surprisingly very dangerous because as I'm drinking it, it actually is as smooth as drinking a bottle of Snapple, Nantucket Nectar, you name your non-carbonated iced tea that's out there. You know, there's not really any tannin bite on there. I gotta say, it's pretty nice. You know, I'm enjoying it. Again, I must have had this at one point, probably sitting in some friend's cooler, and I said, oh, I wanted something different. It was the end of the day. I thought maybe I need to back off on the beer, even though this is still 5% alcohol. It's definitely refreshing. I have this pretty cold right now. It tastes like iced tea. It smells like iced tea, and it has the mouthfeel of iced tea. So, being a twisted tea, I think they're nailing it out of the park. One of my future videos may be comparing a couple of these, especially if I get some feedback and you guys want to know what's the best. Again, I'm not a tea leaf expert, but this is drinking kind of nice, and it's deceptive, I should say, because at 5%, this big can that I got the big can because I don't want like a 12 pack. I don't drink these all the time. It's just, at 5%, I think it's like 19, no, it's 24 ounces. So it's liquid equivalent of 2 beers. Remember, like Budweiser even is like 4.3. So we're sitting like in the Budweiser range. So it's the equivalent of 2 beers. It doesn't drink like there's any alcohol in it, which is, again, very scary. But again, I got to say, I'm not going to say it's the best tea I've ever had. You brew your tea on your countertop. You do sun tea, whatever it may be. That tea's a little better. There's some residual sweetness I'm getting on my lips here as I'm sitting here. But it is pretty nice. So anyway, guys, kind of a version of the, how would I rank this? Let's do that first. overall drinkability, enjoyability, I'm actually enjoying this. It's not beer, okay, hence my channel here. I gotta give enjoyability a good B plus, maybe an A minus. I could see this being a nice little, have a 6 or 12 pack sitting in your refrigerator. You want a little bit of an offshoot from your beer and wine a little bit. Have one of these to kind of clear your taste buds a little bit till you go back to your beer or your wine or whatever it may be. So good B plus on that end. I can't compare it. Again, I don't drink a lot of these, so I can't say, oh, it's better than this brand or brand B or C. But I got to say, I think I will probably get this a little more often. I know, I hate to say it, but I know a lot of high school, underage, college kids like this because maybe they haven't acquired a taste for some good wine and some good beer. But again, it's really drinking like I'm just putting up on the camera. I'm sure all my pictures on here. Everything from the smell to the taste. It tastes like a good average iced tea at 5% alcohol. So anyway, guys, I won't belabor the point. So I have fun doing videos like this that are off the beaten path from my typical channel. So I'll end this now. Twisted Tea, okay, the original. I'm enjoying it. Maybe I'll be inclined to do a side-by-side beer or iced tea face-off and see which one I think is better. But it's not as sweet as I thought it was going to be. I think your typical Snapples, Nestea, things like that are a lot sweeter than this, which is good because if you had the alcohol and the sweetness, it may be a little bit too over the top. So anyway, guys, today's beer dissection, quote unquote, typically a hard iced tea video from Twisted Tea. I'm enjoying it. I can see why those of you who have probably had this a lot more than me would enjoy it too. So I may have this as an occasional lineup in my beer fridge. All right. So anyway, guys, till the next beer dissection or beer video in general, have a great night. Take care. Bye-bye.